Hari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, entitled The Passing Away of Bhishma Dev, and verse number 34. Yudhitura garajo vidhumra vishvak kachalulita shramavaryalankrutasye mama nishita sharer vibhidyamana त्वचि विलसत् कवचेस्तु कृष्ण आत्मा युधि तुरगरजो विधुम्र विश्वक कचलुलित श्रमवार्यलंकृतास्ते मम निशित शरेर विभिद्यमान त्वचि विलसत् कवचेस्तु कृष्ण आत्मा युधि तुरगरो जो विधुम्र विश्वक कचलुलित श्रमवार्यलंकृतास्ते मम निशित शरेर विभिद्यमान त्वचि विलसत् कवचेस्तु कृष्ण आत्मा युधितुरगरो जो विधुम्र विश्वक कचलुलित श्रमवार्यलंकृतास्ते मम निशितरेर शरेर विभिद्यमानः त्वचि विलसत् कवचेस्तु कृष्ण आत्मा युधितुरगरो ज विधुम्र विश्वक कचलुलित श्रम अम्लांक मम निशितरे शरेर विभिद्यमान त्वचि विलसत् कवचेस्तु कृष्ण आत्मा. माताजी, युधितुरगरजो विधुम्र विश्वक वचलुलित श्रमवार्यलंकृतास्ते मम निशितरे शरेर विभिद्यमान त्वचि विलसत् कवचेस्तु कृष्ण आत्मा. Word to word meaning: Yudhi, on the battlefield; Turagah, horses; Rajah, dust; Vidhumbra, turned an ashen color; Vishwak, waving; Kacha, hair; Lulita, scattered; Shramavāri, perspiration; Alankrata, decorated with; Asse, unto the face; Mama, my; Nishit, sharp; Share, by the arrows; Vibhidyamana, pierced by; Tvachi, in the skin; Vilasat, enjoying pleasure; Kavache, protecting armor; Astu, let there be; Krishna, unto Shri Krishna; Atma, mind. Translation: on the battlefield where Sri Krishna attended Arjuna out of friendship, the flowing hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hoofs of horses. And because of his labor, beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations, intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows were enjoyed by him. Let my mind thus go unto Sri Krishna. Purport. The Lord is the absolute form of eternity, bliss and knowledge. As such, transcendental loving service to the Lord in one of the five principal relations, namely Shanta, Dasya, Saksha, Vatsalya and Madhurya, that is neutrality, servitorship, fraternity, filial affection and conjugal love, is graciously accepted by the Lord when offered to the Lord in genuine love and affection. Sri Bhishmadev is a great devotee of Lord in the relation of servitorship. Thus his throwing of sharp arrows at the transcendental body of the Lord is as good as the worship of another devotee who throws soft roses upon him. It appears that Bhishmadev is repenting the actions he committed against the person of the Lord. But factually, the Lord's body was not at all pained due to his transcendental existence. His body is not matter. Both he himself and his body are complete spiritual identity. Spirit is never pierced, burned, dried, moistened, etc. This is vividly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. So also it is stated in the Skanda Puran, it is said that the spirit is always uncontaminated and indestructible. It cannot be distressed nor can be dried up. When Lord Vishnu is in his incarnation appears before us, he seems to be like one of the conditioned souls, materially encaged, just to bewilder the asuras or the non-believers who are always alert to kill the Lord, even from the very beginning of his appearance. Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna and Ravana wanted to kill Rama because foolishly they were unaware of the fact that the Lord is never killed, for the spirit is never annihilated. Therefore, Bhishma Deva's piercing of the body of Lord Krishna is a sort of bewildering problem for the non-devotee atheist. But those who are devotees or liberated souls are not bewildered. Bhishma Dev appreciated the all-merciful attitude of the Lord because he did not leave Arjuna alone, although he was disturbed by the sharpened arrows of Bhishma Dev. Nor was he reluctant to come before Bhishma's deathbed, even though he was ill-treated by him on the battlefield. Bhishma's repentance and the Lord's merciful attitude are both unique in this picture. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a great acharya and a devotee in the humor of conjugal love with the Lord, remarks very saliently in this regard. He says that the wounds created on the body of the Lord by the sharpened arrows of Bhishma Dev were as pleasing to the Lord as the biting of the fiancé who bites the Lord's body, directed by the strong sense of sex desire. Such biting by the opposite sex is never taken as a sign of enmity, even if there is a wound on the body. Therefore, the fighting as an exchange of transcendental pleasure between the Lord and his pure devotee, Sri Bhishma Dev, was not at all mundane. Besides that, since the Lord's body and the Lord are identical, there was no possibility of wounds in the absolute body. The apparent wounds caused by the sharpened arrows are misleading to the common man, but one who has little absolute knowledge can understand the transcendental exchange in chivalrous relation. The Lord was perfectly happy with the wounds caused by the sharpened arrows of Bhishma Dev. The word Vividyamanaha is significant because the Lord's skin is not different from the Lord. Because our skin is different from our soul, in our case the word Vividyamana or being bruised or cut would have been quite suitable. Transcendental bliss is of different varieties and the variety of activities in the mundane world is but a perverted reflection of transcendental bliss. Because everything is in the mundane world is qualitatively mundane, it is full of inebrities. Whereas in the absolute realm, because everything is of the same absolute nature, there are varieties of enjoyment without inebriety. The Lord enjoyed the wounds created by his great devotee Bhishmadev, and because Bhishmadev is a devotee in the chivalrous relation, he fixes up his mind on Krishna in that wounded condition. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Bilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Nabom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. First of all, I seek blessings from the all assembled devotees so that I can speak for the glorification of Lord, for my purification and for your pleasure. So, from a couple of days we are hearing and reading the last prayers of Lord Bhishmadev before he departs. In first verse he says that let my thinking, feeling and willing be focused on Krishna. Now nothing more, no other subject should be focused on. As we know that there are 12 Mahajanas and Bhishmadev is one of them. So first of all, let us understand the importance of Mahajana. What is Mahajan actually? So we find that in the Indian tradition, we have Vedas, the Vedic texts, they are so variegated that the various sages, when they approach them, they approach Vedic text with their own angle of analysis. They come up with different conclusions, different sets of religious principles. So for the common masses, it is very difficult to come to the conclusions. What is the real religious principle? Because whoever they approach, they will say something different. That's why it is said, Tarko Apratishta Shrutoyo vibhinna nasa rishiryasya matam na bhinnam. So kindly Krishna has put the religious principle, real religious principle, into the heart of self-realized persons. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gatasya pantha. So for common men, they can't analyze Vedic texts and come to the conclusion that, okay, this is the way we should do these things. So they have to just follow Mahajanas. So that is the easiest way Krishna has provided for the most of the people, that is common mass. And that's how they can reach the same ultimate goal, which even the transcendental, the great intellectuals can achieve. So that is the merciful nature of the Lord, which Bhishmadev here appreciates. That he, Mame Vamsho Jivaloke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, for him everybody is equal. And he wants everybody to come back to spiritual world. A few days back, I just heard a comment that, such Mahajans, the Bhishmadev had made a mistake that this accusation or this argument was based on something like that how can such a Mahajan, Bhishmadev, who could tolerate the Draupadi's insult, that why didn't he stop that insult? He should have chopped off Duryodhana's head. When that Draupadi's Vastrahana attempt was happening, at that moment, all of us remember that Bhima took a vow that I will tear apart the thigh of this Dushyasan. I vow. So my question is, why didn't he do that there itself? He was there. Right? Does he need a net practice for that? Bhima could have done that. But because he was bound by the Kshatriya conduct, he was bound. Similarly, even Bhishmadev was bound by his Kshatriya conduct. He has vowed to serve the throne. So that's why, even though if you see genealogically, Bhishmadev was a Pitamaha to Dhritarashtra. So but still he was always ordering him like, Maharaj, why don't you do that? Or why don't you instruct Duryodhana and something like that. So respectful, he could have said, Dhrutu, why don't you do that? It was not like that, Dhritarashtra or chastising him. No, because it's like a hierarchy. He's a minister, advisor, servant. He has to follow the order. So the argument which someone does, we imply our philosophy on some Mahajans, we should have a strong philosophical background, in the sense Shastric quotation. So we see even the gambling match was not being played by Duryodhana by putting sword on Yudhishthira's neck, that you play, otherwise we'll kill you. No, it was Yudhishthira Maharaja's consent. He agreed and he lost everything. And that's why the things happened. So just as we say that Pandavas and Kauravas, there was a fight between Dharma and Adharma. So if we can't blame Bhima, who could not stop Draupadi's insult, and we still called him dharmic. So similarly, even Bhishmadev is also a dharmic, although he took part in adharmic side. So we should understand that based on what is happening around us and our nature, and with that nature, which mode affects us, we make a philosophy, and then we stamp it on the authorities which we have no access to right now. If we see, the Mahabharata war, till Bhishma was there in the Kurukshetra, nobody dared to do adharmic act. I mean, go non-Kshatriya conduct. You know, till 11th day, everything was happening that at night everybody was friends and in morning they were fighting. But as Bhishma Dev fell, on 13th day, Kauravas planned this butchery idea, Kshatriya idea. That they planned and killed Abhimanyu, 6 people against 1. So that is butchery. So the argument was made that why did Bhishma Dev didn't chop off Duryodhana's head? If he would have, then Bhishma Dev's name would have been in the history book, not in Bhagavatam. We are studying his teachings. He is chosen by Krishna to be consoled, to console Yudhishthir Maharaj, where even Krishna failed, apparently, and even great sages. Why? Because he is the most dharmi, he is Mahajana. So prove his glory. That's why this is enacted. So, how can we call him adharmic? When he was there, nobody dared to do that. Anything adharmic. First of all, in this, our journey to spirituality, we should find out, we should confirm our role, right? The role in the sense that we are in the name of assisting Krishna in, preaching and reclaiming the fallen conditioned soul. We are part of Krishna's team and we are preaching on his behalf. What happens is there is a danger always to take Krishna's role, put Krishna aside and, establish dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya. So when, adharma is happening. So we see presently adharma is happening rampantly. So someone may come up with that, in the past those who could have stopped adharma, they didn't do that. That's why this is the repercussion. So everything what is happening around, what we do, we make our own philosophy. In 1950, there was a naval ship was crossing the ocean and they found one object in between. So they immediately sent a message that please change your course 15 degrees to north to avoid the collision. And in their own way, their message came that you change your course 15 degrees to south. So the ship said, we are US naval ship carrying the 50 aircrafts. You better change your course 15 degrees north. The reply same came, you change your course 15 degrees south. So now the captain said that we will take measures, we will counteract. If you do not change your course 15 degrees to north, then you will have to face the consequences. The reply came, I am lighthouse, your call. So immediately what happened? They have to change their course 15 degrees to south. So because you can't crash your ship can't crash to the lighthouse. Lighthouse cannot change. Similarly, whatever happening in our life on the basis of emotional breakdowns or making our philosophy out of our own false ego, we can't make people change their path. In the sense, we can't blame on the absolute truth, those who have absolute truth. Just like the ships come and go, they are actually scrapped. After some years, they are been sold in scrap bhav. But lighthouse remains. They are permanent. So lighthouse is made to show the path for ships. Ship cannot show path to Mahajan. So that's how our role should be to understand Krishna and his representatives and their roles, and what is our benefit. Our benefit is to follow. And that way, we achieve the desired goal. Otherwise, it is a disaster. So, mostly, as we say that, as Radha Prabhu once was saying that, in this world, to create and to destruct, it's very easy, doesn't take much of energy. You do it, create, and you destroy also. But to maintain something, it takes a lot of energy. Right? So that's why when we come to sadhana, the philosophy, the devotional service, it's like doing the same thing. We don't change our process, the chanting, hearing, and preaching, so on and so forth. The 9 process of devotional service doesn't change. So there is no creation. You have to do the same thing day in and day out, years together, decades. So the soul's nature, we have an amshik nature that we are creator, we are a part of creator, So there is always hankering that, I have something, in the sense I have to contribute, in the sense everything is based on if I think like that. I'll give you an example. Like one person was saying that, oh, my mother, she is a very good cook. She cooks everything so fantastic. Only her bhendi is worst. So someone said that, how many times you have tasted her bhendi? She said, Nana, never. I had tasted, never I have tasted her. So well, how did you come to conclude that her bhendi is worst? He said, because I am bhendi allergic. So because you are bhendi allergic, you have concluded that the person who is expert in cooking everything is worse in cooking bhendi. You understand what I am saying? My allergic to bhendi, I have all rights to blame all the good cooks that they can't make bhendi nice. So the point what I'm making is, each and every individual has a freedom given, and that applies to even devotees also. So that's how we should not create disturbances in our own path by our activities, based on our own false ego, just because I have to create something. So why we are reading the chapter after chapter, entire Bhagavatam we see, there are teachings of Mahajans only, all 12 Mahajans, right? Swayambhu, Narado, Shambhu, Komaro, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlado, Janako, Bhishmo, Balir, Vyasa, Kirvayam, all 12 cantos, there are only Mahajanas, their teachings. So just because, there are only praises, let me see some criticism. So that some thoda masala aa jayega. No. So just like I'll give you, in COVID, what happened? There are so many people lost their jobs. You see. So one of my cousin also, he lost his job on a day of Diwali. So they have planned that they will celebrate Diwali at his home. And afternoon he got a call that Hare Krishna. So he was planning promotion and bonus, and the news got that you lost your job. So emotions. So emotionally based, he said, "Kya ho gaya?" So generally what happens, we do on Diwali, we put lights everywhere, right? So his sister as planned, she came to his house, saw that it's all darkness there. So she went inside and asked, what happened? Diwali celebration? Kya Diwali? Diwala nikal gaya. Because I lost my job. So she said, job hi gaya, have you, to lula langla ho gaya kya? You have so much experience, all the banks have not locked up. You can apply again. You can get a job. And what about your savings? So his planning was that if I am happy, then only I will celebrate Diwali. But we don't celebrate Diwali for that. We celebrate Diwali because it is a celebration of Lord Ram's victory. It's not that I am happy, that's why we are celebrating Diwali. We celebrate Diwali because that is Krishna's happiness, Lord Ram's happiness. That gives us happiness. So what I am trying to convey is the one argument to against the teachers who are teaching the entire philosophy corrupts our faith. Just like it is a well-known thing that, Mayavadir Bhashya Sune Hoila Sarvanash. So how it works? How it is Sarvanash? Because Mayavadis are offenders to Krishna. And that's why when we hear from them, we party to that offense. And that's why it corrupts our philosophy, our perception about Lord, about his, entire personality. And that's why even though they may speak on Bhagavatam, Hoile Sarvanash. So that's why it is recommended that those we are in the path of philosophy, this pantha, so we should encourage, we should infuse faith in people. Right now, what is happening outside is so many writers are coming and they write on Vedic texts based on their own conclusions. And onion, and they put onion is like this, so maybe Vishnu is like this. So I'm just saying there is no dearth of writers outside to corrupt our faith, to dislodge our faith. We ourselves should not do that by thinking that I think he has not followed dharma or something. So that is my one point which I wanted to clarify here without any offense. Because what is the entire thing which we may perceive that, Pandavas, there are verses by Bhishma Dev that how can you people who are so godly, so powerful, has to go through these kind of events. Sarvam kala kritam manne. So he gives the reason that it's kala. Bhavatam yad apriyam. Sapalo yad vashe loko vayureva ghanavali. Are, no one can challenge time. So he says that this is only the plan of Lord, because he wanted that all adharmic people should come together and get annihilated at once. So that's how the thing has happened in such a way. So we, from our own insignificant point of view, should not analyze such aspects which even stalwart have failed to and only got bewildered. That's why Bhishma Dev says that, Nahi asya karhichit rajan puman veda vidithitam. The plan of Lord, nobody can understand. Who yad vijigyasaya yukta bhushanti kavayopihi. Kavayopihi means all these, the demigod, the great rishis, those who have understood the truth some way by their staunch practices, they even cannot understand the plan of the Lord. How can we do that? So this is dharma, that is dharma, and this is up to let Krishna. Because dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam nave viduro rishiyo noapi deva na siddha mukhya asura manusya kuto na vidya dhara charanadayah. So charana, siddha, manusya, asura, nobody can ascertain the real religious principle. This is Krishna's task. And when he is here, he does it personally. And when he is not there, then the Mahajanas are to be followed. So we should have first our role perfect. In a film, suppose we have given roles, hero, heroine, villain. Like suppose a villain starts thinking that I am hero, the whole thing will, have another effect. We should have a role to assist Krishna, assist Guru. Janma sarthak kari kara para upakar. So we take para upakar as a more, in the sense more, in our speech we may do that. And the thing is, when we are preaching, then what happens is, we are directly taking up a leadership role. So leadership role should bring faith in Krishna. We should bring faith of people towards Krishna. We should bring conditioned souls to Krishna for taking his shelter, not creating doubt. Why I am saying this? Because in purport there is one paragraph comes where that there are always non-believers who wants to kill Krishna. They don't understand transcendental body of Krishna. Just like Ravana wanted to kill Rama, Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna. How can you even imagine? If now we are a devotee, we understand this is there. But how can a common man understand this? So the transcendental body of Lord should be understood by Mahajans. Now the verse very nicely says, it's very a scene is picturized by, so Bhishmadev on 11th day fell down on a bed of arrows. So he didn't start criticizing the people or something. He is meditating now on this scene. Today's verse is meditating from that day. Now it's a long time. So he's saying that Krishna, taking a wheel of chariot, coming towards me, his hairs are ashen by the dust raised by the horses, and the decorations of sweat on his forehead and wounds created by my arrows. So now, purport we read that Krishna's body is complete spirit. We have a body and inside we are there. Spirit, part and parcel, soul. Krishna is complete spirit. So question may come, then how can, and of course in Ishopanishad 8th verse, there is a mention that his Ashna Viram, Akayam. Akayam means he doesn't have body like us. He has a spiritual body, Satchidananda Vigraha. And Ashna Viram means he doesn't have blood veins. Now if somebody doesn't have blood veins, how can he have a wound? And if he has a spirit body, how can he have a sweat? Mohitam nabhi janati, naham prakasha sarvasya. So Krishna plays a role in such a way that only qualified person can understand him. And others will get bewildered only. So, it is said, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mamesu Arjuna. Kitna simple, it's so simple. Just accept Krishna's the birth and activities as transcendental. You don't get birth again. And Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. And he steals butter. If he is the Lord of everything, why is he stealing butter? So those who have not following into the Mahajan Guru Shishya Parampara, they will never understand this. And they have a doubt. It's contradictory, sir. He is saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, and he is stealing, he is lying. So always they will be having a doubt and they will never ever cross this particular ocean of birth and death. So, before we surrender unto Krishna, we have to show complete surrender to a personality who is representative of him. That is the criteria. So unless we do that, that's why Yasya Prasadad Bhagavat Prasado. So Guru, unless we get his mercy, his prasad, we can't get Krishna's. So unless we understand this transcendental nature of Krishna by Guru's instruction, by following him, by serving him, there is no question of understanding Krishna and how divya he is. And unless we do that, our main purpose, Antakale mameva smaran muktva kalevam, how will it be fructified? Because we will remember someone when we understand he is very powerful, very attractive, very wealthy. Anything very extraordinary, we remember. We put photographs of him, his or her, because the exceptional qualities are there. So unless we have that understanding, we will actually have to take again birth. So fortunate is our Bhishmadev that he has Krishna personally present before him. We may not be so fortunate, right? So to answer to this question that, how Krishna is a spirit and he can spirit body, still he has wounds and sweat. How to understand this? The simple thing, Bhagavad Gita teaches us that Ashcharyavat pashyati kashidenam Ashcharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyam. A soul who is a part and parcel of Krishna is also spirit. And even we can't understand it. Even soul is Ashcharyavat for everybody. So many people see soul as a Ashcharya. See, an ant has a soul. If you weigh ant, how much weigh is a few milligrams, right? But a whale has a thousands of ton weight. So do you think that there is the soul's size is different in whale and ant? Same soul, but we can't, through our brain, we can't understand that. Just like Prabhupada went to Dr. Katosky and he told him that, car and body, car and driver, body and soul. The Katosky is a PhD, he wrote so many things, but he couldn't understand what is important. So he said car. Because without car, we can't move. Prabhupada said, without driver, what is the use of car? He said, no. Driver nahi, car is important. So that's how it's very difficult to understand even soul, how soul acts. So how much more difficult it is to understand how complete spirit acts. So that's how Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto. So if you follow the devotees, then the much complex thing becomes very simple. Because the merciful nature of Krishna actually flows by the merciful nature of devotees only. So same mercy flows when Krishna becomes happy. So it's like, if somehow, just like our Amogha, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives mercy to Amogha. Amogha becomes realized, and Advaita Acharya said, how can you do that? I mean, he was a blasphemer. Mahaprabhu said, because he is connected to you. Only qualification is, because he is your family member. That's why he got mercy. So similarly, however difficult the things might be, if we just get a mercy of a pure devotee, then we are qualified to understand the complex matter about transcendence. Our Uddhava in the third canto says, there are many things will happen around. Many people will say anything. They will write all opposite. But the pure devotees will never get distracted. Their faith will not get shaken. So this verse comes that people say, ki Krishna, the Jara has shot arrow. The arrow was pointed by the cursed club. The Yadu dynasty will be killed. And that is the reason of Krishna's disappearance. So in that context, so Uddhava says that Adayantara adhas yastu swabimbam lokalochanam. So Krishna was, however, 125 years, whichever year he was on this planet, he was not to be seen actually by those who actually were able to see him. So he writes that Krishna just removed his form from the sight of those who were unable to see him due to not executing the required penance. What is that penance? That is not the penance of austerities and all that. Penance of the Bhishmadev went through that pain. That staying in all non-devotees association, seeing all atrocities happening to devotees, still in the favor of devotee, still helping devotee association, and doing his sadhana. In the sense, he didn't become adharmic. So that is the pain. Many people, what happened are Janta, people what they do, whole entire community is doing, so okay, I will also do. Whatever wrong and right, the general mass do not have any ideas. That's why it is said, Yad yad acharati shreshtas. So they do, king does, everybody does. So the devotee is one who has to do this penance, that however difficult the association of devotees may appear, may feel to us, we have to do that penance to together glorify Krishna. And then in that way we can understand him, and there are many ways you can remember, So our unfortunate situation is that we are not sure that when we will be on the deathbed or akasmat death, we will not have Krishna most probably in front of us, so that we can remember him antakala mameva and smaran mukta. So we have to have a plan B, which Bhishmadev had. This verse is his plan B. Fortunately, he has both plans successful. Krishna is also there, and his plan B is also there. So he is also meditating that planned Uttarayan, and this will, because I have a relationship with Krishna in a chivalrous mood. So our nature we have to understand, and accordingly we should have, there are various ways, dhams, Lord's qualities, his names, his pastimes, wherever fit, because that's how our nature is. Our nature will not change. Chivalrous, Sakhya, whatever it may be. So we have to have a very powerful practice of that remembrance, in the sense, whatever happens, I remember this. I remember. Just like he is meditating on this form, and then even Krishna is there, he says, let my mind goes unto this picture. And then it is surety that actually we can remember Krishna. So today we have what we have seen. First thing, we being in Gaudiya Shishya Parampara, we have Mahajans as to follow. So we should not create distrust in people about them. Second thing, that we have to have, so we have to understand by their teachings how the transcendence is very difficult. But by their mercy, it is very easy. And to make our life successful, we have to work like Bhishmadev, that we have to have a plan B. then it is very likely that we may get a success. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.